Russian disinformation is at its best when it spins a yarn about things that don't exist, like Canadian mercenaries, nuclear physicists, and American-made climate weapons. Disinformation never stops, and neither do we. Welcome to StopFake, the place where we set the record straight on fakes about Ukraine. So let's get to it. The police of the self-proclaimed Luhansk People's Republic announced on January the 12th that they had seen Canadian mercenaries in Stanitsa Luhanska, a town in eastern Ukraine near the contact line between Ukrainian territory and Ukrainian territory that is currently occupied by Russia. The pro-Kremlin publication Ruskaya Vesna, or Russian Spring, declared ruthless Canadian mercenaries from private military companies have come to kill in Luhansk. Now, these claims are not supported by any evidence, and the OSCE Ukraine Special Monitoring Mission makes absolutely no mention of any such mercenaries. In fact, the latest OSCE Special Monitoring Mission reports on January the 10th, mission monitors observed 4 workers repairing the roof at a Stanitsa Luhanska checkpoint on the Russian-occupied side, but no mercenaries or foreign delegations were seen by the monitors. According to the Ukrainian military, a Canadian military delegation led by National Defense Deputy Minister for Political Affairs Peter Hammerschmidt visited the war zone in eastern Ukraine in December of 2019. Canadian military are currently participating in various military exercises in Ukraine as part of Operation Unifier, the Canadian Armed Forces mission to support the security forces of Ukraine through training programs aimed to improve Ukrainian military capability and capacity. The last such training was held for sergeants in Mykolaiv earlier this month. Unifier training missions in Ukraine are in their 5th year, with up to 200 Canadian troops participating in various rotations. The Unifier mission will last until 2022. Russian media have come up with many versions as to why a Ukrainian passenger jet was shot down in Iran earlier this month. Aside from blaming the United States directly for the crash, other versions include American spies and American drones, secret use of electronic jamming in order to set up Iran, and even arms smuggling through Ukraine. A most recent version of why the plane was shot down is that it was carrying secret nuclear physicists who apparently under no circumstances were to enter Canada. The author of this newest theory is Alexander Perendyeyev, a lecturer at Russia's Plekhanov University of Economics and a member of the expert council of something called the Russian Officers Organization. Perendyeyev's views and claims are often featured by pro-Kremlin media, like many of the experts promoting Russian disinformation. Perendyeyev also claims that Ukraine will split into eastern and western parts after the presidential elections, and that the U.S. is attempting a coup in Venezuela. Speaking about the crash of the Ukrainian flight in Tehran, Perendyeyev spun several different theories as to what brought the plane down, including a bizarre version involving arms trafficking in Ukraine. Several marginal sites picked up Perendyeyev's version, including Russia's federal news agency RIA, and many Telegram social media accounts peddled this latest fake as well. Another conspiracy theory about the crash is being circulated on marginal sites, claims that U.S. intelligence agencies are eliminating nuclear scientists from Iran, North Korea, and Russia. The plane crashed as soon as it became known that there were students and scientists of Iranian descent on board. Now, 138 passengers aboard the flight were bound for Canada. 57 of them held Canadian passports. That is, they were citizens of Canada. Among the scientists on board the doomed Ukrainian flight were Farouk Khadem, who wrote her PhD thesis about immunology; Zahra Nagibi, a research assistant at the University of Windsor; Saeed Tamashebi, a graduate student studying systems engineering; Arash Purzarabi and Puneh Gorji, newlywed computer science graduate students returning to Edmonton from their wedding in Iran; husband and wife Pedra Musavi and Mojgan Daneshmand, University of Alberta professors who died together with their 2 children. There is no mention of anyone on board being a nuclear scientist returning to Canada. According to the New York Times, Iranians began immigrating to Canada after the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran. Today, Canada ranks 3rd in the world in the number of expatriate Iranians, and Canadian universities are a popular destination for Iranian graduate students. We know that for the Kremlin, the United States is responsible for every problem facing humanity. Now you can add to that list climate change as well. Our colleagues at polygraph.info, a fact-checking site produced by Voice of America and Radio Free Europe Radio Liberty, came across an interview on a Russian media outlet called Moscow Speaks, in which Russia's Duma deputy Alexei Zhuravlyov suggested that, now get this, American climate weapons could explain this year's unusually mild Moscow winter, which is said to be the warmest the city has experienced since 1886. Zhuravlyov said that the goal of U.S. climate weapons was to melt Russia's permafrost, something he said would be a disaster for Russia. Zhuravlyov is a repeat purveyor of the climate weapon falsehood. Last summer, Zhuravlyov blamed American climate weapons for wildfires in Siberia and severe rains and unseasonably cold weather in Moscow. He gave no evidence for the existence of such weapons, but claimed the U.S. previously used them in Vietnam. Now, the U.S. has no such weapons and is a signatory to something called the 1977 Environmental Modification Convention, which bans weather modification for military purposes. That's it for this week. You can find much more dissected disinformation on the StopFake website, stopfake.org. Be vigilant, look out for fakes, and if you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, forward it to us for a truth autopsy. I'm Marko Suprun, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.